All right, hello and welcome to Swing It and Ding It, an iHeartMedia podcast. Man, I mean, this is a birdie fest.
It's a Philly show, baby.
Let's go.
That's right. Welcome into Swing It and Ding It, an iHeartMedia podcast. This is Moose along with Mays and Matthews. And we got to figure out what the heck went on up in New York. So we had to bring in our friend Jeff Eisenband, PGA Tour Live, Sirius XM PGA Tour, Eyes on Golf. Great podcast. Make sure you check that out. Put that in the library along with Swing It and Ding It. Great content there. Jeff, welcome back to Swing It and Ding It.
I'm glad to be here. I still remember, I think I was on your guys' show 2 years ago, and you said that I was more elusive. It was harder to get me than Shane Bacon, and I took that to heart because that meant that I was being way too much of a diva. So I've tried my best to not be such a diva since then.
Oh, we appreciate that, man.
I'd like to have Shane on right now. He just had that hot take. I don't know if you guys heard that.
Really
Shane's being a diva. No.
Yeah. The tables turned.
Yeah. Well, lots of hot takes and lots of reason for hot takes for what we just witnessed. And I'm still processing, and I'm sure we all are, especially because of the way it ends. But in the end, you have a 15-13 victory. But it's one of those things where it sure did not feel that way. Jeff, you were out there on Friday. Just give your overall kind of recap. We'll get into everything. Right? I have it all there's no notes. There's bullet points this week in prep, so we'll get into it all. But just give me your kind of overall thoughts.
Yeah, right. It's one of those things I was thinking during the middle of singles. One day, my grandchild is going to ask, "What was the 2025 Ryder Cup?" It was close, right? It was like not for 2 days, but it was at the end. I think the biggest story, because I know the crowd became a part of the story. And I was, and Harry knows this because we talked about it before, I was among those out there saying, this is going to be electric. New York fans are the most knowledgeable fans in sports. This is going to be such a great atmosphere. There's so much hype. Everything's going to go great. And what we did know was New York fans, and I know we could talk. I'm 1 on 3, but we could talk about Philly fans.
Philly
as well.
fans, we're so much more mild mannered and tame. This worked out so well for us this weekend, man.
Polished, respectful.
If you are winning in New York, the New York fans will get behind you like nothing you've ever heard before. If you are losing, I speculated they might turn on the team. What happened instead, I think, that these fans showed up, and I was there on Friday morning. We were so hyped. The place was just buzzing. And I know Bryson hit the first shot and the place was just electric. What a scene. This is going to be this amazing atmosphere for the Ryder Cup. And the first session, you're up 1. Okay. Second set, let's get them back in the afternoon. Second session, you're up 1. Third session, you're up 1. Fourth session, you're up 1. I'm sitting there on Saturday night thinking, I've been waiting, like Keegan Bradley, over a decade for the Ryder Cup to come to New York and this atmosphere. And we might not win a session. You don't get another Ryder Cup unless you're Hazeltine. You don't get another Ryder Cup for like 30 years, 40 years maybe to your city. And then Sunday, everything seemed to finally come together to give us this incredible, incredible ending. But for 2 days, everything went wrong for the U.S.
It really did. And one of the things we have to talk about, you said in New York and how those fans are and how knowledgeable, but let's also talk about how, rowdy they are in the crowd behavior. Tom Watson called U.S. fans mean-spirited. He even apologized to Team Europe. Rory's wife hit by a beer thrown at her. You think Beth Page crowds cross the line, or is that just like Ryder Cup energy?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Rory summed it up best at the end of the week when he said it was not everyone. He said most people that came here came to experience the highest level of golf, arguably the best event, the best fan event in golf. And I think that, I think fans in New York, like Philadelphia, are knowledgeable sports fans. They know for the most part what's going on in golf. They're showing up with a purpose. And I think that there were certain people that took that feeling of, this is the Ryder Cup. I can insert myself into this match. And the way that I'm going to do it is by being as antagonistic as possible. Rory also said during that singles match against Scotty on Sunday, he heard more people trying to antagonize him than cheering on Scottie Scheffler.
Right.
And that's my biggest message to American fans going forward at Ryder Cups, President's Cups, whatever it may be. Support your guys, like support the team that wants to hear you speaking positively, because we saw it, especially on Saturday, Justin Thomas trying to, quiet down I believe it was Justin Thomas and Cameron Young trying to quiet down the crowd. It became a sideshow. The crowd wasn't helping. The crowd was just doing this weird sort of thing that they were trying to draw a reaction out of Rory, who, by the way, absolutely balled out on Friday and Saturday. And the biggest thing to me was listening to what was said there. And I could only speak for Friday. It sounds like Saturday was a little more vicious. There are just some things. There are things, personal things, that you just don't say to people. You don't talk about Rory's family, his marriage, some of the other topics that have been reported to have come up. And it made me think a lot about Russell Westbrook in the NBA. There was, if you guys followed the NBA a couple of years ago, there were the NBA started cracking down on fans in the front row who were basically trying to get a rise out of players in a way that was just going too far, whether it was, the language, but also trying to actually touch players, whatever it may be. There was the guy in Philly that flipped Russ off. You might remember.
Oh yeah. The double bird.
Yeah.
The report there was, and the message that the NBA sent is, just because you buy a ticket doesn't give you a right to be a jerk. And I think that's the message to golf fans after this, is just because you buy a ticket doesn't allow you to be a jerk. Now, I will say this: if the U.S. was winning, and I'm not putting the blame on them, but if this was more even through the first 2 days, if it wasn't like these fans just waiting for a trademark moment to cheer about, I don't know if they would have been as antagonistic as they were, but I think they were just so riled up, ready to go, and they got nothing.
It's almost like people forget that they're not on social media at times these days. I hate to sound like an old head, but it's like, it just seems like the way people act on social media is now carrying over to real life.
Yeah.
And they know that nothing's going to happen. If something happens, they're going to get on camera and they're going to become famous. It just is a terrible, right? Yeah. It's just a terrible way to go about it. And I'm reacting first in the moment, like, oh, come on, he's soft. But then you start to hear some things. You're like, if that were me, like if ever anybody, like it's just
they'd get more than what Rory said from me.
Yeah, it's just way too much. Well,
it's like Old Miss student section that's behind the right field. They're like rumored to be the worst in history. They do research on all the right fielders all throughout the year, and they bring out every possible thing about their dad, their grandparents, their wife, whatever, and it's brutal.
Yeah. All right, Jeff, where did it all go wrong for Keegan? Was it the Morikawa English double down? Was it the course setup with the low rough, inability to really find a great partner for Scottie? Where did it go wrong for Keegan?
Yeah, there's a lot to point to, but let's go talk a little bit about those team sessions. I think it's easy to just go right to Colin and Harris, running them back. Everyone will talk about Data Golf listing them as the 132nd best pairing out of 132 for Team USA, and we saw it twice. I put out my.
But they wanted another chance. It's like, Keegan, you're a father. You know it. Like,
go to bed.
you don't give him a second chance. You know what's going to happen.
when I put out my power rankings last week, early in the week last week, and I listed English at 11 and Morikawa at 12. Because those guys were trending the wrong way headed into the Ryder Cup. So I think some of that has to be identified. And I know I'll speak out of two sides of my mouth, because I think what Europe does really well is they create these pairings well in advance. These guys know who they are playing with, who they should be practicing with, who they should be focusing on months, some of them, before they get to the Ryder Cup. So I think it's easy to blame Keegan in that sort of way, but I think finding the right partners and getting ahead of the game would have been, I think, the biggest thing that the U.S. has to work on over the next 2 years. We have this mentality, it seems like, with the U.S. Ryder Cup team that don't get ahead of yourself. You're not on the team until you're on the team. And then we find out you're on the team 3 weeks before the Ryder Cup and we start scrambling. In Europe, I mean, Tommy and Rory have known they've been playing together probably for 2 years, right?
Yeah, the whole team.
So I would love to see, and I would say there are 6 or 7 guys who you can essentially put on the next Ryder Cup team, barring unless something crazy happens, they will be on the team. So start getting those guys to start working together, playing together. Start trying to figure out those pairings ahead of time in the future. I think that's one thing that went wrong. And just the overall, we talk about it so cliche about Europe, the camaraderie. Mm-hmm. But to me, Europe knows that if you're the 25th guy on the points list at the beginning of the year, you're a long shot. Europe still makes you feel like you're part of the team, right? You see Matt Wallace crying at the end when he just knew that he just narrowly missed the team. And he was probably sitting on his couch cheering for his European mates. I feel like in the U.S., right, you don't make the team. I feel like our guys like, well, you know what? Like, good luck to them.
Yeah.
You
and
got
I think
Tommy, they're doing butterfly kisses on the green. Tommy and Rosie. I'm like, what are we doing here? We're getting,
it's European.
These guys love each other a little bit more than we do. You know what I'm saying, Jeff? I don't know if we can get there. I don't know if us in our U.S. brains can get that close.
My wife was just watching videos on social media before I got on, and she's like, I don't see any of our guys singing on a bus, right? Like the Europeans. But that's not what it's all about. You talk about the pairings that could have been done better. It's easy to Monday morning quarterback because Scotty and Russell Henley, right, going in, we all thought that was going to be the reliable pairing, and it wasn't. But I look at, for example,
Russell looked like you saw a ghost in the first time out there. You never know how that's going to hit you your first Ryder Cup, right, Jeff? Like
you don't, and it was different. And I still don't think I think you need to come with a plan of, hey, these are some potential pairings that could happen, right? You never want to have the Tiger Phil situation where Phil's on the range learning Tiger's golf ball, like right before they're going out together, or Ricky Fowler was sick in the last Ryder Cup. They had to change up some things. Scotty and Brooks all of a sudden find themselves playing together. Yeah, two of the great major champions of their era, but they aren't feeding off each other the same way that you would expect. So you need to come with prep in terms of what could potentially, you need to be able to be a little light on your feet if you're Keegan Bradley, but you have to come with at least a plan. For example, I thought Scotty and Bryson were going to play together both 4-ball sessions. And they did in the second on day 2. And probably if Justin Rose didn't go absolutely bonkers, there's a good chance they win that match. I would have liked to see those two players play together twice, and not because, let's just put the two best players on the team potentially together. That's not what this situation was. They played together 4 years ago in Whistling Straits. They know that they've been in that arena together before. And I think it was a late reaction to put them together on Saturday. And maybe you left a half a point or a point on the table if you would have put them together on Friday.
Jeff, I want to get back to the course, because to me, we probably were all dying to see what Bethpage Black was going to be, and they made that thing into nothing. But it's funny too, when the guy you have stuffed in the envelope plays more matches than some of the other guys, you got to be able to question that too. Yeah. But do you think that this could have gone wrong way back with the PGA of America making the choice over course correcting with Keegan as captain? And I think it was a reactive move, seeing the groundswell of people that were like, what the hell are you guys doing? That they almost just like went so far that it was too broken to rebuild in 2 years and expect them to build this back together and win.
Are you talking about the course in particular, or the leadership of Team USA?
No, sorry. I'm tabling the course for a second. I'm talking about the leadership. I'm talking about deciding to make Keegan the captain, blowing the whole thing up essentially, and expecting it to be fixed in that short of a time period, because they were being reactionary to people saying, what the hell are you guys doing? You're the old boys club.
I mean, there's a lot of talk, right? The United States had not lost a home Ryder Cup since 2012, and that was the miracle at Medina, right? There are a lot of ways that could have gone better for Team USA, and we could have been sitting coming into this Ryder Cup saying, hey, we haven't lost at home since 2004. So I think if someone's not broke, don't fix it. I don't think that I know Keegan's getting a lot of flack. I think that he definitely rallied the guys more than Zach Johnson did 2 years ago. It definitely feels like Keegan bought into the job as a 2-year job. He felt this sort of connection to Bethpage Black. I do think he has a connection to the PGA of America within his family. And even though he did, he mentioned right after, that he has a complicated relationship with the Ryder Cup, but he cared. And I think he handled all the publicity in a much more savvy manner than Zach Johnson did 2 years ago. And obviously it's different when you're the home captain and you have to set things up. It's hard because like I'm dancing around this a little bit, but what I am saying is that I don't think the United States had any problems in home Ryder Cups coming into this. I mean, Whistling Straits was an absolute beatdown. But I do give Europe a lot of credit because this is not the European team from the 90s, the early 2000s. I mean, these are 12 guys who played this year predominantly on the PGA Tour. And I do think that's important because Bethpage Black, even if you set it up hard, even if you figure it out, it's still an American-style golf course that is very similar to the profile of golf courses that these guys play constantly.
And
I do think
and their
that needs
lives
to be
they
fun.
live, Jeff. It drives me crazy. Like it's always going to be because
Yeah.
like, they're leaving foreign soil. I'm like, you know what foreign soil is to Rory? Northern Ireland,
Yeah.
right? You know what
Yes.
foreign soil is to
Yeah,
John
yeah.
Rahm? Spain at this point. Like they are like no excuse.
Americans.
It's how it is. It's where you're from. But this is what they play week in and week out. Like this is their life.
It is true. Shane Lowry said something interesting that going back and playing on the DP World Tour, in his case, playing in Ireland, playing at Wentworth. I mean, some guys, right? Fitz went back, Rasmus Højgaard, they played 4 weeks or so in Europe. That, you know, Shane said everywhere he'd go in the crowd, there was a lot of go get him at Bethpage, right? There was a lot of support, and the guys felt like, I mean, these are the little things that Luke Donald does, right? Making all those guys go play Wentworth to remind them when they go back to their home in the U.S. that this is the kind of where they grew up. This is what they're playing for. But my point is that there's not that home course advantage necessarily. I think Europe will have so much more of a home course advantage at Adair Manor in 2 years in Ireland, which isn't necessarily a links course, but just the entire European arena that you all are talking about, that all 12 of these players from Europe, including a player like Ludwig Oberg or Victor Hovland, who came to college here recently and went right into the PGA Tour.
Or the guy with the southern accent from Alabama.
Yep, Vienna de Valdosta, not a regular path, but, you know, he's done it. That I still think they're going to feel so much more comfortable than certain guys that Team USA sends over that just have not been in that sort of environment. And I'm not talking about necessarily the fan environment. I'm just talking about the Irish air, the coolness, the crispness that you're going to see in late September in Ireland in 2 years. So I think Europe has figured out how to basically have half a home field advantage in the United States and then their own home course advantage back home in Europe.
717 days.
This is it. I'm hearing they're having a record sales day today.
Oh, the shampoo?
That's the shampoo.
$47 a bottle or something?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. If I had hair, I would buy it. But
sounds like something my wife buys.
No need for me.
It sounds like, you know, some hotel concierge in Long Island was trying their best to try to sabotage things, but Luke Donald sniffed it out.
He said, I don't think so. Well, we have to talk about this. The envelope rule drama. Victor Hovland withdrawal. The rule forced US to sit a player, which obviously was an automatic half point. So is this the dumbest rule in sports? Should it be changed? Does it have to be changed? Will we see it changed by 2027?
I guess I'll take it. I'll take it two different ways. The one thing I'm going to say is if you follow the Ryder Cup, and you have followed the Ryder Cup, and you read about the Ryder Cup before the Ryder Cup, and you opened up your cell phone and opened up Instagram or TikTok or Twitter, someone was doing something about the man in the envelope before the Ryder Cup. It seems like this is lore about the Ryder Cup. Oh my God, can you believe this rule? What happened?
So it matters,
this rarely
right?
happens, but this is something that's there. The man in the envelope, like it's like the man in the arena, the man in the envelope. And so it happened. And at least my reaction from someone that follows the game was, oh, we knew this might happen. It's unfortunate. Victor Hovland played great on Saturday morning. So I think if Victor Hovland could have played, Victor Hovland would have played. He's dealt with tons of injuries over the last two years. Like, I think this was just an unfortunate reality. And then to see people, including Keegan, react to it in real time, to me, that's a conversation. Let's have that conversation over the next 2 years.
Yes.
Let's talk about that for the next Ryder Cup. But why are we talking about a rule right now and critiquing a rule that we all knew about going in that represents sort of that spirit of the sportsmanship of the Ryder Cup, right?
Yeah.
On one hand, where we have that rule, and then we're also awarding the Nicholas Jacklin Award, which celebrates sportsmanship and the concession. And then we're talking about, how could this rule exist?
Yeah.
If we want to, so then the second part of the conversation is, okay, let's have the conversation about should the rule exist. I think I'm going to defend it. I'm going to say that it should, because if this was the other way around, I think American fans would be like, hey, this is how it is. This is what's fair. So I've heard a lot about.
Awesome. I mean, you have 4 vice captains. One of them should be available to play.
Well,
right. You should have one vice captain.
Either that, or you just choose an alternate. But
then the alternate's got to sit there for 5 days and might not play. I'm sure the guys wouldn't care. But wouldn't that be awesome if it's like, all right, kids, strap them up?
Because if it would have came down to that being the deciding point, then I think this would have been a bigger conversation.
It would have been Keegan saying, Harris, I just don't know. You might have a little, is your knee all right?
Right.
Like, I think, but it's a slippery slope, right? Because then you end up with a Keegan or someone, or like all of a sudden, by the way, the U.S. is getting their doors beat in. The U.S. is getting their doors beat in by Europe. And I'm watching on TV, and it's Saturday afternoon, and I see Alex Noren behind one of the groups. And I'm going, they might not even have their best 12 guys. Alex Noren just beat them all in Europe.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a slippery slope. And I know that's not a fun sort of answer to defend the men in the envelope right now. But I think that if this was the other way around, American fans would be right up there like, hey, this is what's fair. Steve Pate.
In 1991, Steve Pate. Yeah. He was apparently ducking Sevy, right?
I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. So
it's a quirky event. It's what makes it fun, right?
I'll tell you, I don't like carrying a 13th player to just kind of sit around. I know the Olympics does it.
Every other sport has a bench, though. I mean, in every other sport, you've got guys that you could sub in.
So should we play 10 singles matches? What would that be like? I mean,
but there's already enough guys that, just replace it with somebody on the current roster. Like, you know what I mean? Throw someone who hasn't got enough reps in.
Rasmus Højgaard would have played one match if we had a bench.
Well, they could have tugged in a Højgaard easily. Right. He was there the whole time.
He was there. Yeah.
All right. Well, what was the one moment that stands out to you? Like a shot or, a reversal, on a green or something. I mean, I've got a couple of them, but I mean, what's the one that really jumps out to you, Jeff?
So I think the one that jumps out, right, is the shot that Rory hit after the crowd backed him off the ball.
On 16, wasn't?
Stuffed it.
Yeah.
I think that's a moment that a lot of people will remember. What jumps out to me, ironically, because he was hurt right after it, was Hovland making the putt on 17, because that felt like it just demoralized Team USA. You're trying to maybe even up the session, maybe give yourself a chance. That was, I believe, to keep Europe 1-up in that match, Hovland and McIntyre on Saturday morning. And you're trying to flip that match, and all of a sudden, I know we don't say Dormy anymore, but all of a sudden he makes that putt to just keep it at 1-up Europe. And it just felt like there's just no way to stop these guys.
I knew it was over early when Rahm hit that shot out of the only fescue on the damn golf course. Like, he's lining up and you're thinking he's going to smoke a fan. This is like, it's over. Like, get it, just pick your ball up. You can't hit this. And he chops this thing out of the only trouble that they were in all week, sticks it onto the green and makes the putt. And you're like, oh, okay, something's going on. And then Hatton hits the one off the tree, off the limb that's on the ground. It's like, these guys were it was, everything went their way the entire 2.5 days. It was wild.
Yeah, no, it really was. I mean, you felt like every putt that Europe had, they were going to make. Every putt that the U.S. had, they were going to miss. But then it felt the total opposite on Sunday, right? It felt like what had happened, and maybe it was fatigue. I thought I thought they did a good job. Bones did a good job on TV actually speculating that, hey, guys playing 72 holes in 2 days, not quite 72 holes, but two matches a day, and then getting to Sunday, like, that's tough. And you think about it, Rory, Tommy, and Rahm were the only guys that played every session for Team Europe. All three of them lost. The three guys that played every session for the U.S., Scotty and Rory, I mean, they mentioned it on the broadcast. That was just a dogfight. Those guys were out of gas.
Yeah,
Bryson,
fight, I think they said.
Yeah. Bryson, who was clearly reeling at the beginning and somehow just dialed it back up. And then Cantlay, who was the only guy that lost a match for Team USA. So I do think there's something to be said for that fatigue that comes in on Sunday. And then you have some guys for Team USA who were maybe a little fresher because they didn't play as many holes or they didn't play as many matches that showed up in singles on Sunday.
So the biggest shocking thing is getting back to Bethpage Black, right? Jeff, you're a New York guy. I played the course late 2023, and I was so excited to play it knowing it was a Ryder Cup venue. The sign's on there. They moved the sign. It's right behind Harry right now. And it turned into the easiest golf course they play. Like, I mean, I guess that, you know, there was some sort of thought into that. I still don't know what it was, but it just, I mean, it took all the fun out of playing that golf course to me.
Yeah. You know, I think the talk coming in was, hey, people want to see guys make birdies, and just that feeling of, because remember, there have been Europe, for example, in France, you go back to Le Golf National, they were sticking pins in the middle of greens. They were basically saying, this is how we think we're going to win, is if we make these holes simple on approach play. The pins were tucked at Bethpage, but because there were just no penalties, that was why all these, everyone had these, there was this issue of just the course playing too easy. Everyone
I guess
had
you couldn't predict that it was going to be soft, right?
You
like
couldn't
you couldn't
predict that it was
a lot
soft,
of rain that came in Thursday. A lot.
But I mean, how many times do we talk about this as golf fans? Golf fans want courses to play hard. Yeah. Whether it's the US Open, whether it's the PGA Championship, whether it's a PGA Tour event, there seems to be this feeling of golf fans like birdies. Well, I don't think golf fans would have cared if you were putting from 10 feet for birdie or for par if it was to win the hole in this situation. And what happened was a lack of volatility. And in Team USA's case, once they went behind, it almost felt like Europe could establish the run with a lead, right? Because it became so hard to come back in some of these matches when you had to make a birdie to win a hole. Yeah. You rarely saw holes being won by par. I mentioned the pillow fight between Scotty and Rory. Scotty won, I think it was the 10th hole or something on Sunday with a bogey. But for the most part, you just saw guys winning holes with birdie. And that's what I want to see future. I know Hazeltine's next, but we've got Olympic Club and Congressional coming up. Someone asked me today, where would I like to see a Ryder Cup? Oakmont was somewhere that I listed as let's put a Ryder Cup in one of the hardest venues on the planet and see what happens.
What do they love about Hazeltine so much that they're going back there so quickly?
So sometimes it's right, guys.
Mild-mannered fans.
Guys, yeah. But I think it's that they won, and they won convincingly with a really great crowd at Hazeltine. And Hazeltine did a great job with the setup from an infrastructure standpoint. I'm not talking necessarily about the course, but I know you probably saw some of the videos of Hazeltine. The first tee was more electric. You think the first tee should get better and better every year, right? Europe feels like Rome got better than Paris, which got better than
the fans on the sides, right?
Like, yeah. But Hazeltine got it really going in the right way. So I think it should move around. I think I'm a big city type of guy. We'll see if Aronimik impresses the PGA of America enough for your folks down I-95, and maybe we'll get a Philly Ryder Cup eventually.
We'll behave. We promise we'll behave.
I just want to tell you. I want to tell you a good story, Harry. I might have told you this the other day, but I was doing radio for the Truist Championship, and I interviewed Shane Lowry after the Saturday, the third round, and he was going to go out on Sunday in the final pairing with Sepp Straka. And I asked him about the Philly crowd. Shane Lowry was the fan favorite on the weekend in Philadelphia. Yeah. And I said, what's it like with these Philly fans? They seem to have gravitated toward you. And the first thing he said is, I'm playing with Sepp tomorrow. My Ryder Cup teammate who they had played together in Rome, I believe 2 sessions. He said, it's been great, but we are not going to get that reception when we're down the road in New York at the Ryder Cup this fall. And man, was he right. Like, that's all I could think about watching him play with Rory, those couple, on Saturday when everything was going on. Like, he told me that despite all of the support that he was getting in Philadelphia a few months earlier, he was going to get razzed the entire time at Bethpage, and he was exactly right.
They gave Tommy
Yeah.
good support too, who finished, I think, T4 that week. He had a good week there, and they loved him too.
I mean,
I feel like he was the least heckled this week, though. A lot of people love Tommy. Like, I saw all over social, people were like, Tommy, and then they were like, go Team USA. I'm like,
it's hard. Tommy and Hovland, I feel like it's hard to go after them. I think Rory and Shane, to fans who are more casual golf fans, who maybe watch the majors, the Ryder Cup, they remember, Rory and Shane and Joe LaCava on Saturday in Rome. And I think that was partly what kind of turned certain fans, maybe against Rory, because earlier today, I believe it or not, I was on New Zealand radio talking about the Ryder Cup. And so they're asking, they said,
how many shows today?
They said, New Zealand to Philly. They said, what's going to happen when Rory goes back to PGA Tour events? Is he going to get, hear this from the fans at PGA Tour events? I said, absolutely not. Rory's got among the most supportive anyone. You could argue Rory's the most supported player out there on the PGA Tour. Now, I think that's
why he's so affected by it.
Yeah, but he's also, I think it is worth noting that the PGA Tour fan the PGA Tour will go to, let's say, let's talk about Muirfield Village next year, or Rory loves to play in Canada, or Rory he played at the Houston Open last year. You're going to have fans that love a tournament that's been going to the same place for the same time, for year after year. They've been going year after year. It's part of the community, the culture. And here's Rory McIlroy. He doesn't wear a flag out there on the course, and everyone just, the support that he has shown for the PGA Tour. I mean, fans just love him for that. But all of a sudden, you end up with the situation at majors, not just Ryder Cups, because I think about Pinehurst, where Rory was definitely not the fan favorite over the weekend,
right,
where you have fans that maybe just is kind of like what you guys were talking about, where people have their online personality is now in person, right? They see memes or they see what they're supposed to believe they feel like, and then they go out to the course and they handle themselves a certain way.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
So make sure you're following at Jeff Eisenband. You made, your career progressing. You got to do some on course this year. Talk about that experience. What was that like for you?
Oh my God, it's electric. I mean, it really
It's gotta be so fun.
It's amazing. And I started the year. I did Torrey Pines, Farmers. I did the Mexico Open at Vedanta World. Which, by the way, you're in the moment. Brian Campbell, Aldrich Potgieter. I know that's not necessarily what folks expected for a PGA Tour win, but you're watching the playoff, and all of a sudden, you're right in the thick of things. When I did Valspar was when I really had a sort of pinch me, like, I can't believe I'm here covering Victor Hovland and Justin Thomas playing down the stretch, inside the ropes. If anyone's listening on the radio, it's on me right now.
Victor hit some shots in that too, man.
Yeah. And it was electric on Sunday. And that's where I think fans need to realize it doesn't matter if it's a signature event, a major, whatever it may be. Like, if you were in Palm Harbor, Florida on that Sunday, it was, to everyone that was there, it was the biggest thing in the world, watching two heavyweights go back and forth. So just being able, I had some other Truist Championship, Rocket Classic, and the BMW Championship, which I followed Robert McIntyre. My colleague Kevin Sylvester followed Scotty Scheffler. We were with the final group Saturday and Sunday. I was the first one that asked Robert McIntyre about the fans, and he said sort of the thing like, you give me junk or trash, I'm going to give it right back to you. Like, it's electric to be out there. And I think that golf, especially, is a sport where fans, sometimes it's hard to get, it's my friends that play golf casually, it's hard to get them to watch on TV sometimes, but when they are at an event, when you're at an event, you feel that energy, and it's an amazing experience. I'm still doing PGA Tour Live as well, about equal amount of time, which has been awesome. Still awesome to call things on streaming, not actual television, but the new PGA Tour Studios was beautiful this year for us to open it. And I did one ESPN bet stream for the Travelers Championship. So potentially doing more as we, sort of evolve how betting is talked about on our streaming airwaves.
You doing Sanderson this week?
I am not doing Sanderson. No.
Okay.
So I've done it in the past. First event I ever did. So
Okay.
Jackson Country Club has a special place.
Special
in my
place in your heart.
You and
Danielle's
me
too.
both. That's the site of my honeymoon.
Oh,
But you brought up
my choice.
you brought up the BMW Championship. Caves Valley could be a good Ryder Cup spot.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because I was thinking about markets in Baltimore, D.C. Congressional is going to host a Ryder Cup, which I think will be a really good Ryder Cup. I think
they took
DC,
all the trees out.
Yeah, I know, and they changed their par 3. They've made some adjustments there, but I do think that there's something about Washington D.C. I think for these big type of sporting events. I think we're going to see how the World Cup shapes out in a lot of these markets, but I think that Baltimore, DC is great. And I'm glad that Caves Valley really put on a great show this year, because even though we all remember that Bryson Cantlay playoff from 2021, the knock on that course for 72 holes until the playoff was it played too soft, played too easy. And they worked for 4 years. They worked so hard on firming that course up, making sure they put in a whole aeration system, a whole irrigation system. They were going to get that course to play how it was intended to play. And it really, I mean, those fans were great too. I was lucky enough this year to go to Baltimore and Philly, 2 markets that don't have a regular annual PGA Tour event. And that was what made those crowds to me so special, to have fans that were soaking in that opportunity to have these events. They still think look, the Truist Championship will probably end up being a little more accessible than that Aronimink ticket will be for the PGA Championship next year. So I just thought Philly did a great job, not just putting that tournament on, but showing up for it.
Yeah, no doubt. Did you experience any Philly golf for yourself when you were here?
I didn't. I need to get down. I don't. People ask me all the time, like, "Oh, you must play such great courses." I'm like, well, most of the time when I'm there, I can't play them. So the fall, like I'm telling my friends, I'm like, the fall is when I'm playing. My October and November are going to be hot golf months for me when I can actually get out there.
Well, our big golf outing is on October 20th at the Legacy Club in Cherry Hill. You're welcome. You'll be our guest if you can make it.
I'm in Hoboken. I don't even have to leave the state of New Jersey.
Take a look at the calendar. You let us know. We'll hold a spot for you.
I got to get down there. But I do want to say, I mean, Philly cricket was awesome to be out there. It really was. And I was glad from it, as someone who grew up on Tillinghast courses, that it was able to hold its own after the first day where things got a little bit dicey. And I think it spoke for a lot of, hey, like, look, you can set up courses that are shorter. You can mix them around and make them a challenge and make them PGA Tour venues, because we've got a new CEO at the PGA Tour, Brian Rolapp, that's going to look at a lot of different potential markets and potential places to bring golf events. And I do think that when we look at the calendar in 5 years, the stops may be a little bit different than we saw 5 years ago.
Nice. Yeah. And we just did a walkthrough at Cobbs Creek, and we know that I think they already have a wink and a handshake for a regular PGA Tour stop at that venue. So that'll be awesome. But yeah, great seeing you out there. Love what you're doing. Continued success. Thanks for hopping on, trying to make sense of what was a wild couple days in Bethpage, because it was I had plans. I'm like, all right, after the Eagles game, I mean, this is over. I'll barbecue. Had people coming over. Then I'm like, wait a minute, this they might have a chance here.
Literally, same thing. I watched the birds. I flipped over and I'm like, wait, what? I was like, what's going on?
I know people say the NFL is scripted. When they got to that Rolex hour commercial free at the end, I'm like, man, it didn't look like we were going to get here at the beginning, but somehow the script brought us down to the wire. So
unbelievable. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll connect again soon. Let's take a quick break, and we will be right back. All right, welcome back to Swing It and Ding It. Great to talk to Jeff Eisenband. Yeah. He's doing some cool stuff, man. It was funny. Yeah. I think when we had him on, he had just started PGA Tour Live, and that's got to be fun for those guys to do the encore though, right?
That is really got to be that to me is like the dream job now.
And now it's becoming, now they're having a guy with each player. Like the final, it used to be like one guy would walk the course and get some stories. Now there's, that job has opened up some opportunities, which was really cool.
Yeah. And I thought NBC missed Woody this weekend on the call. They threw Noda in there.
We didn't talk about the coverage.
No, but a lot of Noda Begay on the weekend, and I'm thinking now he wasn't out on the golf course, but had they had Woody with Bones, I thought that would have made it, as good as they do a major. You know what I mean?
And I love
Woody's working for the
Faldo,
team.
but that was unbearable.
Yeah,
I like Begay and Faldo. I love him.
I love him.
But like, it's almost like he forgot it. Like he was breathing into the microphone.
Yeah,
Like, he
yeah.
just like completely forgot how to
Right.
broadcast.
He sounded like Baldy when I worked with Baldy.
I told
dishwasher
you guys
confuses me.
that
Yeah.
before. Like Dory, like Brad asked me one time, he's like, "Do I like breathe too much?" He's like, Dory said when he like first stepping up his TV, she's like, "You got to fix your breathing. You're just in the mic breathing." And I'm like, "Oh goodness!" And then when I listen back to our pod, I'm always like, "Okay, I say like too much. I do this. I do that." It's
Baldy would a lot of this, and then he'd sip his coffee on the microphone. I swear to
Jesus.
God.
Oh God! You're like, what do you do?
Love
Classic.
Baldy.
Oh,
Love
it's the
Baldy.
greatest.
The sipping of the coffee on the mic that's wild.
Somebody said I usually don't. Somebody said somebody was clicking, but I don't think it was one of us. Someone said like it was a whole episode. I think it might have just been like an audio thing. Somebody said they heard that used to drive me crazy not to hear that.
I had an employee who tapped her nails, and I'd be like,
Ooh.
if you do it, I'm firing you. Like if you cannot stop with like the bank teller nail thing, you're out.
Oh, it's the worst.
It's a non-negotiable.
Oh man.
So Harry, any other big takeaways from you as we kind of put a bow on this Ryder Cup?
Yeah, the two moments that really jumped out at me that sort of captivated the whole conceptualized the whole thing about Europe and the way they won. The 7th hole on the Friday 4-ball session, Griffin and DeChambeau were one up on Fleetwood and Rose, and Griffin drains this 50 to 60 foot putt, okay, and goes bonkers like he does. I mean, he's a very emotional player, and that's why when he was in this, I was really looking forward to watching him. He drains this putt, the crowd's going nuts. They're one up now. Rose has to birdie. Now he's closer. He was probably 30 feet or whatever it was.
I think it was 40 something.
And he drains it and does the chest. Oh, it was so awesome because I was pulling for Europe, obviously. And I love Rosie. He's like practically my favorite player on the PGA Tour. And I was just like, wow, that is unbelievable. And then Saturday, the foursome round, our format on Saturday, Rahm chips in from standing in the bunker. The ball is in that
you're like,
rough.
this hole's over.
Yeah,
right? Like,
you're like basically, you're 2 up or whatever. Like he makes it. I mean, it was just unbelievable. You're like, these guys are just so good.
Every
and they're
time,
always
the
looking
answers.
to make it. You and I are trying to just get it on the green and give ourselves a putt. These guys are actually trying to make every one of those things, and he did it. It was unbelievable. And they were even, and that gave them a 1-up lead, and they ended up going on to win 3 up. So
yeah, I mean, every single time they had an answer.
Yeah,
and it just was like deflating for the team.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what. I'll give you an answer, and that's the fall concrete at Rita's because they're back. They're the fan favorite. Pumpkin pie returns alongside the new apple butter flavor. Try them today. Danielle, we go from water ice to tea.
To tea or to drinks. You guys were talking about on-course reporters. Let's leave it to Smiley Kaufman to contact numerous
Squeaky
sources
duck gate.
to find out the hard-hitting field report on, like you said, the rubber duck drink ornament. So people were like, they were sneaking them in, and they snuck them in to mess with the Europeans and everything else. But they literally, like you said, they were the drink ornaments that were put on top of there. And he figured that out after a while.
I just picture some meeting today of the food and beverage team, and the guy
whose idea was that?
Yeah. So who ordered the couple 100,000 the squeaky ducks? The guy I did.
When you're paying $19 for a drink, you should get an ornament.
You need some type of thing, right? Yeah, you're like, come on, give me something here.
Oh my God, that was a wild story because you're like, really? They're bringing ducks in?
Yeah.
And I like how they kept saying duckies, which I thought was funnier when you're saying rubber duckies like a little kid. But wild story.
Yeah, crazy.
Well, we heard we talked a little bit about Jeff said his favorite shot was Rory. After the crowd was saying some choice words to him, and he said a choice word back and then stuck it to like, what was it, 5
Shut
feet.
the F up.
Exactly. But I was like, oh my God. That's why you can't see anything. There's cameras, there's people recording everywhere. But when they asked him like how he felt about it and how it felt in the presser, he said it felt awesome. Did you guys hear that?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. I thought
I'll tell you the one thing that I noticed. I mean, it was subtle, but JT is going above and beyond, right? Trying to quiet the fans down. And he's like, really, like, even Cam Young is just looking at him like and then, Rory makes a shot and he's just going right back at the fans. And you almost see JT look like, dude, I'm not going to keep quieting these guys down if you're going to just keep riling them
you're
back
poking
up.
the bear.
Right.
Yeah.
I saw him look over like, really, dude? I just spent instead of me worrying about my game. I don't know. Maybe I missed that.
I got that same raid too.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a full line of state troopers deployed to the rope line
on Saturday.
Shane and Rory, as they said the fan behavior is becoming unruly and hitting. And
Rory was just picking guys and plucking them out.
That was Saturday afternoon in the 4-ball matches.
All clips are coming out now, and they're going to be coming out for days. Finally, when people get the releases, hey, can I use your social media video? Now they're starting to come out. You're seeing them this week, so you're going to see some wild stuff because it was outrageous and just way over the top.
We knew it would be. I love how everybody acts like they're surprised. Not you guys, but like people in the media are like so out, like on Golf Channel. I can't believe this. What did you expect?
Also, how hard it is to get 50,000 people to be completely silent.
Down.
It's the only sport where I don't know. I think it's
so
hard to do.
Imagine the World Series where we're like, shh.
Yeah.
Quiet. It's the bottom of the ninth. Can't say anything. It's like, shut up.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
The fans are going to be fans, especially in the Northeast. We got to take a quick second to shout out Patrick Newcomb. I kind of was keeping you guys a little bit updated, but he was a guest of ours on at the NEPA Invitational. So he had to win to obtain Corn Ferry status. So the top 25 goes to second stage, and he would have gotten Corn Ferry status. I just love sharing these stories because it shows you just how wild and how hard it is to obtain status, to play, to move to the next level. He was heading into the fourth round leading. A couple guys got on fire ahead of him, but he played really well. I think he had like 5 birdies, 2 bogeys, and unfortunately finished solo second, but that gave him nothing. No conditional status, nothing at all. So he still has to go to the next stage of Q school. So right now he's, I was texting with him yesterday, just saying like, great playing, like we were pulling for you, et cetera, et cetera. And he said, headed to Paris in a few days for European Q school. So it's just seeing the grind from these guys. And I just said, hey, we're all pulling for you. He said, thanks everybody for pulling for him. And it was good seeing us a few weeks ago, gave him some juice to keep going for these next few weeks. So we'll keep an eye on him at European Q school. We obviously have the other Q schools. I can't say Q school today. Somebody's going to have to help me out here. Trending too. So we'll have to follow that and see, who's on the bubble, who's getting their card, who's getting status, and who's not.
Now, is that for the DP World Tour or for the Challenge Tour, the sort of their Corn Ferry Tour over there?
Oh, well, both. So depending on where you finish. So very much like Q school here is when you start out and how you advance and where you go with what you get. So with what just happened this past week on PGA of Americas, which is formerly Mackenzie and PGA Tour Latino America, the status used to be different with, how you got, kind of graduated to the Corn Ferry Tour. But now if the top 25 goes to second stage and then the winner of the points list gets Corn Ferry status. That's what Brandon got a couple years ago, and then so on and so forth. So depending how it is, it's staggered. So if you're like 1 through 6, you get an X amount of events. 7 through 10, like on and on. So it's very meticulous. It's not something I've memorized, but it's just a grind for these guys to see how and what they have to do to get through it. So good luck over in Paris, Patrick. We'll be rooting for you. Let's take it back to Philly, guys. Crump Cup at Pine Valley. So the semis are set. Andrew Price, Bobby Wyatt, Bobby Massa, and Chad Slutsky are in the championship flight. So legends like Mike McCoy and Bob Royak in the senior bracket. Pine Pine Valley obviously never disappoints, but
Mhm.
unfortunately, Harry, you can't go watch. It is
Mm-mm.
still closed to the public. It's
Mm.
crazy. You think they'd want to, I mean, I guess they don't want people there. It just
No.
holds the
They don't
value
want
and
any there.
mystique, but it's like, what are the players allowed to bring? Like you get 4 guests to come watch you play the
Maybe.
Trump Cup.
Maybe
Yeah.
some family.
2. You get
Yeah,
2.
close
Yeah.
family
Your
members
wife and your
only.
dad. That's
Yeah.
it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's going on this week. But other than that, just light tea as we're recording a Ryder Cup recap on a Monday.
Yep.
So that's the tea brought to you by Wear SPF. Protect yourselves like the pros. Just because the temps are cooling off doesn't mean the sun stops doing damage. Whether you're out on the course, watching football, or just running around town, you still need protection that works. Wear SPF by Justin Thomas is dermatologist tested, sweat resistant, and keeps your skin safe year round. Check them out and order some today at wearspf.com. That's wearspf.com.
All right, so Danielle had her lesson. I actually got out for a solo 9. When's the last time you guys have played a solo round? Just
Never.
Last Wednesday, I walked 9.
isn't it amazing?
Oh, yeah. It's great.
Sounds
It's-
peaceful.
I do it quite often, actually, like once a week, typically.
Really?
Yeah, it's great.
I mean,
Is that
it
like first tee out? Like are you guys first tee
No,
time out?
no.
I
You
ki-
can't
I
walk
kinda
until
snuck
after
in.
2 at my place.
Yeah, I snuck in between a couple groups, and I don't know. You just play so much more relaxed. The swing is so easy. It just kind of clears your head, and you just play your game. So I suggest to anyone, if you get a chance, get out there for 9. If you can only get 9, get out there solo. Just
That's
be
awesome.
alone with your thoughts, because it was great. And the greens were just punched on Tuesday, I think. But I had the new putter, man, and I'll tell you what, it felt
Oh yeah, the spider, right?
as good. The center post, but it felt as good as I have ever felt with a putter in my hands.
Wow.
Bruce, did you
where-
find out if it was actual salesman or just a figment of your imagination? Like
Still don't know. I don't want to know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I don't want to know. But like, it just where I wanted that ball to go, it was going. So yeah, can't
You
wait
said
to.
that's center shafted, right?
Yeah,
Oh, and yeah, okay.
yeah,
Interesting.
felt great.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Felt great.
I know everyone said I should switch to a mallet, but I just can't. Like, I love my putter, like visually looking down. I actually wrote it decent like last week on Wednesday. So, like I said, we played 9, and then Brandon thought that's all my attention span would have. And he looked at me, he's like, actually, you're all right. Do you want to play some more? So we made the turn. We played 10, 11, then 17, 18. And even after that, I kind of was like, I want to play some more.
Well,
but
he
had a-
said 12 holes was sort of the cutoff for you.
Yeah.
was probably
Well, I
being
think he
nice.
monitors after 9 and
Is
sees.
that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
6 is perfect, but I don't know. I
6 is perfect.
I think getting like having that early, like 8:00 tea time was nice because we moved along. Like, like I
yeah.
said, other than him messing with my clubs and going to grab a club and it just being all of his clubs in there, I was like, what is going on? But we fixed that. He put my bag back to normal. And Moose, like you said, I went to Admiral's Cove, Mike Melizia. We've had him on the show. I had my first lesson. I told him, he's like, all right, so why are you taking lessons now all of a sudden? And I was like, well, we have a swing and ding and outing and whatever. And he goes, well, yeah, awesome. Let's get you ready. When is it? And I'm like, October 20th. He's like, literally, he's like, you're giving me like 3.5 weeks.
Thanks for the
But-
notice.
Yeah, no, but
Yeah.
it's great. We worked on a lot of things. You guys already asked me offline, but he's like, let's build the foundation first. So pretty cool, just understanding, taking it step by step, but really excited to get it all figured out, dialed in, and maybe you guys
I
will
love
see
it.
it. You'll have to tell
We're
me
gonna
what you
need
think
you.
of my new swing.
We're gonna need you. How about you,
We-
Harry? You been out there?
Yeah, I was out both days, Saturday, Sunday, over the weekend.
It's hot
One-
on Sunday,
1912?
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was hot.
Man.
It was kind of hot both days, really.
Yeah.
Won money on Saturday that I did not deserve, except, for the match, because I didn't really contribute much. But I did make one birdie. I got a skin for that, too. But Sunday was just horror show. But I got to get it together tomorrow and Wednesday.
What's going on with it? The
Because
swing, the
Friday I'm at a cricket club. And then Saturday we got the
nice.
1912 Fall Classic, which is a team event. You and your partner with 9s of like alternate shot.
You and I played in
sprint.
that once.
Is that the one we played in? Yeah, it
Fall
was the
Classic.
fall, the one in the fall. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got that coming up this weekend too after cricket club on Friday. So
Well, what was a horror show? Was your putting off? Your short game?
everything was kind of off.
Oh, that-
It's just
Go do
my
that- go
driving
do that
was off.
solo
And
therapy.
I'll tell you why. The driving was off. They closed the range. So you can't
For
hit
the year?
drivers before you go out till further notice. I don't know. They had a tournament there and they beat the crap out of it. So now it's closed for a while. So
Well, that's something I want to ask both of
that
you.
affects me.
When you go out, all right, like if you have a tee time, how much time do you get there ahead of time? How much range work do you do? How much prep work? Like
I'm
it
usually on the range
varies.
for 40 minutes, 30
40.
to 40 minutes. Yeah.
That's ideal for you. What about you, Moose?
Typically, I'm getting 5 swings and head into the first tee. If that's,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
if I
you know
actually can
Moose.
plan ahead, then I like 30 minutes.
He's coming in hot, man.
I need to like dial it. I'm like Moose. I'm coming in hot. When we played on
that's
Wednesday,
shocking.
my first
Boy, that really, I'm really
my
surprised
first
by
swing
that
was
one.
on the tee, you know?
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
funny because Brennan hit a breakfast ball. He hit 2, and I actually striped the first one. And I looked at him, I go, I'll hit one just for fun. Like, see if I hit it further than my drive. You know what I mean?
I'm picturing the club, the assistant club pro running Danielle and her bag out to us on the 3rd tee. You know, like we've already started.
Yeah, I would love to get out there earlier and hit more balls, but it just never seems to work out.
Yeah.
But like on Sunday, it's walk up only, no guess on Saturday and Sunday. My club, so you go up, you sign your name in, and you get out. And I got there and there wasn't a hole for like 45 minutes. So I'm like, beautiful. So I had time to kind of roll the new putter a little bit on the putting green and hit some balls. But it doesn't matter. I'll go on the range and hit perfect shots. It just doesn't translate to the course sometimes. Like I know what I need to do. I'm
not
just
all
not
the
doing
time.
it. Yeah.
Well, actually, Mike says that. Yeah, he didn't say it to me while he was coaching me, but while I was getting content with him, he's like, a lot of people will go and play and practice on the range. Pardon me. He's like, but the best practice is on the course. Like you're not on the range hitting like a shot where you have like a buried lie and it's half in the tree, half in what. He's like
uneven stance.
Yeah, he's like the best type of practice, just getting out and playing. So of course, like for me, it's just like getting the 19 cracks out of my back is my warm up.
I mean, whether my tee time's at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, I'm up at 5 a.m. for that tee time.
I need
preparation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I'm up at 5, but I have like
a little stretching,
like 65
a lot of
emails.
stretching. Got to get the system working. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. I hear you.
Warm up the knees.
Big part of it.
Yeah.
Big part of it. Well, we keep the fall series going here with the Sanderson Farms. Who's going to take home the big rooster?
Yeah,
that's the question. Jackson, Mississippi. Harry, you want to talk about the course? Of course. Well, that's of course brought to you by Buy My Balls. Tee off with top tier golf balls without the top tier price. BuyMyBalls.com. Top quality recycled premium brands for a fraction of the price. Go to BuyMyBalls.com. That's balls with a Z.
Yeah, not a lot for this one. Country Club at Jackson. John Fout and Mike Gogol designed this back in 2008. Par 72, 7,461 yards, average green, 6,200 square feet, Bermuda grass everywhere except the rough is Bermuda and zoysia grass, and they'll keep that around 2.5 inches. So it's sort of similar to the height that they had up at Bethpage. But 56 sand bunkers, 7 water hazards. That's in play on 6 of the holes. I think this is a pretty boring parkland layout. It's really flat and totally unremarkable. Like I think if I'd play this place, I'd walk away not remembering one of the holes. But it's got a pretty decent field during football season.
Yeah.
And the card for the NFL on Sunday, including the Eagle game, but I have to watch the Eagle game because I got to do the post game, is garbage. So I will be watching the final 2 hours of this golf tournament on Sunday.
I was going to say, Harry, I could call you out on not remembering a hole because I can tell you which hole did Brandon hit a ball up into the top of a beverage stand.
Oh, that was this tournament. That's right.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The Michelob Ultra rooftop.
Yeah. Exactly. I was going to say, you remember a few of them.
Yeah. No, the one that you will remember about this place is the big water tower. They've got a big water tower that you can see from everywhere on the golf course.
Yeah. So we have
like
out of the top 50, you got Akshay, you got Minwoo, JT Poston, Sam Stevens, and the only Ryder Cupper still confirmed at this point is Rasmus. That's supposed to go over and play.
And his brother's there too.
Yeah, you're right.
Both of them. Yeah.
So last year he had Kevin Yu. You had Luke List won it. Year before that, Mackenzie Hughes, Sam Burns. Remember, we had Sebastian Munoz on the show who won this before. Sergio has won this event. Yep. But a little bit of some action on this. We'll see the line with our friends from Bet Parks. So Akshay's at 1,800.
Yeah,
along
he's the
with
favorite.
Minwoo. I'm seeing
Haven't
a
seen
lot of
anything
people.
from him in a while.
Yeah, people are all over. I'm seeing a lot of people on Thor Bjornsson. That
Thorbjornsen,
seems
yeah.
to be the popular
Michael
pick
Thorbjornsen. Yeah.
at 2,500. They're talking about him as a future Ryder Cupper. A lot of love for him I'm seeing out there, and I'm curious to see Max Homa.
Yeah.
At 4,000 to see what he does this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of guys who are really trying to get their mojo back. Like Max Homa. Tom Kim has lost his mojo. He's in the field. Do you remember Aaron Wise, who won a tournament a few years ago? I believe he won the Byron Nelson and then has disappeared, and he's trying to get it back. He's in the field. Some young player like Luke Clanton's in the field. You mentioned Minwoo. Minwoo played pretty well over in Europe during that stretch in August and early September. So he's got to be up there as one of the favorites. But Jacob Bridgman looks pretty good to me at plus 3,500. I like that number for a guy who was in the playoffs all the way to the end. Is a really good player that hasn't yet won. And this is one of these places where guys get their first win on the PGA Tour. JT Poston for a top 10. I like. He seems to play well in the South. Gets that putter going, and Emiliano Grillo too at 3,500 to win is a nice number. I'll take a little bite of. But I made mention before the show, I've already taken Cam Young in the PGA Championship next year at Aronimink off of his Ryder Cup, and the fact that he's got his win already, plus 7,000. That is a juicy number.
I like it. I like it. Danielle must be tired because you said playoffs and Siwoo,
and I didn't. No, in my head though, I was like shaking that. I just didn't want to. I'm trying not to interrupt. It's my there's so much in my brain. I'm like, just hold your tongue. So it said it in my head. Okay. I said shaking that. I didn't say playoffs, but I did say shaking that. And I was also taking a look at the field because I wanted to see who was in here. I saw Zooten.
Yeah, actually, I was looking at him too at this weekend too.
Yeah, Eric Cole. We haven't seen much of Eric in a while.
Yeah,
Cole. Yeah,
Joel Damon.
A lot of those like mid-tier guys that were
Hayden
popping
Buckley. Up. Yeah, interesting. Like Harris said, a lot of people get their first time, PGA Tour win here. So interesting to see.
Yeah, there's no Scotty in the field, so they don't have to worry. They can just go.
There's no palm tree, so I don't know if I'm in on Akshay, but
true.
Ben on.
Yeah, I put $30 on Cam Young. It'll win $2,130 if he wins.
Trevor Cohn.
Man, I love that hair. I got to open up the BetParks app right now and take a look at that sucker. No doubt about it. All right. Well, thank you to our friend Jeff Eisenband for joining us. It was great to talk about the Ryder Cup with him as we continue into the fall golf season and we inch ever closer to the Fox Sports The Gambler Swing It and Ding It Open, benefiting the Magical Mila Foundation and all the great sponsors that we have involved in that. Excited to tell you more about them and bring you some live coverage from the event while we're out there. Good stuff. Thank you, guys. Great seeing you. Talk next week.
See ya.
All right.